You guys smell that? It smells like bankruptcy and a poor business model.
Drink me.
Oh, it's just my coffee and my bank account after this pandemic. What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be ranking the coasters at Six Flags Great Adventure. That's right, the park that has everything from raging bulls to fading paint jobs that is smack dab in the middle of nowhere. And also has a random but very cool safari. Alright, I'm not going to waste any more time, let's get right to the list. Bottom of the list at number 12 would be the Runaway Mine Train, and I'm just going to say it point blank.
This ride sucks.
This is possibly one of the worst era mine trains that I've personally been on. The transitions on this thing are just god-awful, and the layout is just boring. The only fun part about this ride is when it goes over the lake at the very end of it. Other than that, it's just a crappy ride. Take a look at this brake run. Look at the necks on these poor people. Why? Alright, up next on the list at number 11 is the Green Lantern, and again, I hate this ride with a passion, and it makes me want to break something. I absolutely hate standing coasters. I have not ever been on a standing coaster and I came off the ride thinking that it was a good ride. Never in my life, never ever will it ever happen. The only thing that's sort of cool about B&M standing coasters is that the layout is pretty cool, and it's a different type of layout than what you see on a standard B&M looping coaster. But every single B&M standing coaster that I've ever been on, including Green Lantern, has done nothing but bang my head around like crazy and crush places down under. It's a good thing I'm gay and I never want kids. So yeah, Green Lantern, bad. Alright, up next at number 10 is the Harley Quinn Crazy Train. You wanna give me a copyright claim, dude? Okay, so I know I was bashing the first two coasters like crazy, but here on out I'm gonna be a little bit more nice and more easy on the rides, because I like them a little bit more. So this ride is okay for what it is, for being a family ride. One thing that really stood out to me about this ride is how long the train is on it. I think on the last row, it was hardly fitting in the station. And also on the first hill, once the train goes down the first hill, the first row will be at the bottom of the first hill, and the last car will still be at the top of the hill and just cresting the hill. I've never seen anything like this, so it was kind of cool to see this. It's something different, but the ride itself, it's just general family coaster, nothing special. Up next at number 9 would be Skull Mountain, and this is a weird ride, really. The theming on the outside, through the queue line, and even in the station is pretty well done. And the ride up dispatching the day I was there was pretty funny too. Every time he dispatched a train, he would say, "Goodbye," in a very dark and menacing voice. But then when the train came back to the station, he was like,
"I hope you enjoyed your ride. Have a great day at Six Flags Great Adventure."
I don't know, it was just funny to see that contrast. But after you go up the lift hill and go into the main indoor section of the ride, all theming just completely disappears. And the only theming that you get at this indoor section is just some cheesy DJ lights. And honestly, you'd find a better light show from some teenage DJ playing a backyard party. And I think that there's only one speaker in there playing the music, and the music that they're playing, I can't even tell what kind of music it's playing because it sounds like the speaker itself is partially blown. So for most of the ride, the music is just kind of there, and it's not too loud, but towards the end of the ride, you pass close to the speaker and it decimates your ears. I don't know, maybe I'm just too critical on this kind of stuff because I'm a sound and lighting engineer for a living, and I just always judge that kind of stuff. And it just looks like they only had like a $20 budget when they added the speaker in the light show. Oh, wait, this is Six Flags. $5. Okay, so from a coaster enthusiast standpoint, the ride itself is not that bad. I mean, it's still more of a family ride, but it is cool that it's mostly in the dark and you have some fun turns and drops, but nothing crazy, but has a good purpose in the park, I'd say. Up next at number 8 would be the Dark Knight Coaster, and this ride takes what Skull Mountain is trying to do with being indoor and having some of a theme, and it does that right. Throughout the entire ride experience, you have some pretty decent theming, and you even have a pre-show. Whoa! Production! The theming and everything is done pretty well, but the ride itself, it's just a mock Wild Mouse coaster. Nothing too special about it. It's really just a theming that kind of makes this ride. Alright, up next at number 7. Okay, this is the part that might offend some people. For a lot of people, this coaster may be the number 1 overall coaster, so if that is the case, I am sorry that this offends you, but this is just my honest opinion. Drum roll, please! El Toro. That's a lie. Absolutely not. El Toro is God tier, and we'll talk about that later. But still, my number 7 spot is still going to offend some people, and number 7 to me is Kingda Ka. Okay, just hear me out for a second. So I've only had 3 rides on Kingda Ka, and all 3 rides were just not pleasant experiences for me. I've sat in the front row, second row, and I think second to last row. While it is a lot more shaky and more rattly and towards the back Towards the front is not as bad, but it's still pretty aggressive. It just beat the living hell out of me no matter which row I sat in. I will say the best part of this ride is if you're sitting towards the front when you crest the top hat, you get a little pop of ejector airtime, but other than that, there's not much airtime on this ride. And the big airtime hill after the top hat, that's zero airtime. I mean, maybe I did get some airtime and I just didn't notice it because I was too focused on my head being banged around like crazy, so maybe I need to give it some more rides and get a better judgment on this thing. And it would be nice if they had lap bars instead of over-the-shoulder restraints, but I do know that New Jersey law prohibits that they are forced to keep the over-the-shoulder restraints because the ride is so tall. But lap bars would definitely save this ride for me. And to all the King of the Ka fanboys out there, I'm sorry, it's gonna be okay. If you like the ride, that's great. If the ride is good for you, even better. You can enjoy it. I'll just go ride El Toro instead. Alright, up next at number 6 would be Superman Ultimate Flight. Yes, I put a B&M Flyer higher than King of the Ka on this list. But I really love B&M Flyers. I've never been on a B&M Flyer where I came off disappointed. They are always such a cool experience for me. It's so disorienting. And while this ride may be a clone, that doesn't matter to me. It's still a pretty fun ride. I will say though, of all the B&M Flyers I've been on, this is probably the lesser of the ones I've been on, but it's still a pretty fun ride. The pretzel loops are always amazing. It's one of the most disorienting elements I've ever experienced on a coaster. The only place where this ride kind of falls short for me, but it's not too big of a deal, is that it just plops in the middle of a grass field and that's it. Alright, up next at number 5 would be Batman the Ride. Yes, let's have 2 Batman rides in the same park, and let's make them both clones. But honestly, I really like these Batman clones. These are super fun rides, they pack a very good punch, they're super whippy, and they're just overall fun. And I think the fact that it's a compact layout is what makes it a much more whippy ride. It needs a paint job, terribly.
Well, I mean, this is Six Flags after all.
Oh, you ain't wrong. And as I said before, I don't care if a ride is a clone or not. I should judge the ride based upon the ride itself.
Excuse me? No, it's a clone, therefore it sucks.
Who cares if it's a clone? It's still a fun ride.
I said what I said.
Whoops. Up next at number 4 would be, yet again, another clone. Number 4 for me would be the Joker. These SNS 40 free spins are just so much fun. You just completely lose all sense of direction, you have no clue which way you are facing. And this is actually one ride where you actually want to be stapled down and keep your head back the entire time so you don't get whiplash. Because I've gotten whiplash from one of these once and it wasn't fun. But just brace yourself and you're going to have an awesome time in these rides. Alright, up next at number 3 would be the OG floorless coaster, which would be Bizarro, or when it opened, Medusa. Given its age, this ride has aged pretty well. There's a little bit of a rattle to it, but it ain't that bad. It's still pretty smooth for being how old it is. And the theming is okay. They did a little bit of a theming when they rethemed it to Bizarro. I would say the best theming on this ride is during the interlocking corkscrews on it. It has like a saw thing that acts as a head chopper element, and that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, how could I forget? On the dial flute, we got fire! Alright, up next at number 2 would be Nitro. While it may not be the best B&M Hyper out there, it's still a pretty fun ride, and you get a lot of good airtime on this thing. And the helix before the mid-course brake run, you can pull some pretty decent G's on it, and there's been a few times where I almost grayed out at this part too. And it has a pretty good finale with the multiple airtime hills at the very end before going to the final brake run. And there's also like no places to take videos or pictures of this ride. Okay, Six Flags. Let's chat. You build a giant hyper coaster, and there's no place that you can really watch it from inside the park. And you build the world's tallest coaster, King of the Ka, and there's no place from the park to watch it. I know I complain about this a lot because I'm a photographer and everything, but let me live! But still, besides that, super fun ride. Alright, on to the number 1 spot is Six Flags Great Adventure, and this is probably no surprise, because this simply deserves it. El Toro. Okay. So while this may be my number 1 coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure, it doesn't mean it's a perfect ride. There are some things about this I have issues with, which I'll talk about, but what I do like about the ride completely outweighs that, and this is still a god tier coaster. So I've gotten to ride this ride 4 times, and all 4 times I had pretty similar experiences no matter where I sat, except the back row. The back row is just the best spot by far. The airtime that you get in this thing is absolutely incredible. The first half is so smooth. I remember the first time I rode this thing, I could not believe that this was a wooden coaster. This literally felt like a steel coaster going over those camelbacks. And back row on that first hill, major moment. The second half of the ride doing all those fast twists and turns, staying low to the ground, it is a very fun part, and how fast you go through that is pretty fun, but all the rides that I've had during this part of the ride, it beat the crap out of me, and it was pretty rough. Then again, all 4 rides I've gotten on this thing were with less than half full trains, and they were all morning rides too. So I might need to get some rides in El Toro with a full train and after it's been running for most of the day. So hopefully next time I visit Six Flags Great Adventure, I can get a much better ride with a full train and maybe even get a night ride on this thing too. I have not gotten a night ride on El Toro yet, and I am dying to get a night ride because I'm sure that is so good. Well, there you have it, guys. That is how I rank the coasters at Six Flags Great Adventure. How would you guys rank these rides? Comment down below, and I would love to hear how you guys would rank the coasters here. And with Jersey Devil opening up this year, how do you think that's going to rank with the park? Do you think that's going to take the #1 spot for El Toro, or do you think it'll be a few steps below? Comment down below. Me personally, I don't think it's going to top El Toro. It's going to be very difficult to top that, but this could easily be a top 5 coaster. Alright guys, I wrapped the video up here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next loop. See you guys. Anything for the coffee.